To start off our day in a positive note, we're going to start with a poll. It's an interactive way for us to engage with you and see what your opinions are. We'll have two polls during this presentation. We'd love to see your responses. In a moment, you should see the poll populate on your screen. So I'm going to go ahead and open that, and that's for about 30 seconds. And if it tells me, hey, if you're not looking at it, go ahead. If you're on the phone, you're not going to be able to take this poll. So I'll just ask it, how did you find your last job? A, we have newspapers and advertisement. B, a help wanted sign. You're driving down, you saw Taco Bell was hiring, you went in for an interview, you got the job. Online job board, Minnesota Works, really great opportunity to jump on our local labor exchange, as well as networking and traditional family, friends, and colleagues or social media. That was a little short on my end, but we saw a lot of responses in the networking, and I do have to say, perfect, because that's where it is. Networking is one of the best ways to find a job. 80% of the jobs you're going to find throughout your career are going to be through the network moving forward. So as you submit those final thoughts, or if you wanted to add it into the chat, turn up the volume, but find a comfortable but not too comfortable place to set up for the afternoon or the morning. Free yourself from those distractions, as this workshop can change your perspective on how you may find your next position. I want to let you know that your questions do matter to us, and we'll be getting to them at the appropriate time. And I have to say, by those results, Art, that I am not surprised. We are hopeful that this workshop will help you recognize different methods for job searching, identifying the perks of using the state's labor exchange, which I mentioned Minnesota Works, compared to the other third-party job boards, those Indeeds of the world. And the importance of balancing job search strategies. Improve your current efforts, cold calling, elevator speech, informational interviews, and demonstrated how the role of social media, although ever-changing, is here to stay. Referencing back to that first initial poll, we can understand that people find work from any number of advertised sources. That is why we encourage seekers to focus their search on an industry or career specific job board that yield results. So if you're going to a teacher job, for example, a Minnesota teacher, you're not going to jump on to Minnesota Works or Indeed. You're not going to find a lot. You'd probably go to like St. Cloud Ed Post or K-12 job spots. So specific job boards in your industries. Set up certain days to cruise different websites and allow yourself ample time to network. The common problem we've encountered with many job seekers are they tend to have that tunnel vision when it comes to looking for work. They narrow their search by a criteria, word, or phrase that may be outdated, or they search for an occupation that is declining. Therefore, we encourage seekers to look beyond that job title. In the chat is a useful tool to find similar job occupations that match skill sets of your previous occupations. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that in the chat box, and hopefully it pops up on it. Other job seekers fall in love with the idea, with the ease of applying online with a click of the button. If there is one thing you take away from this session, avoid mass applying. I've run into this all the time with job seekers that I'm assisting. They tend to fall in that groove on LinkedIn or Indeed, and they just hit apply, quick apply. In fact, avoid applying directly through all those third-party websites if you can. This will only cloud your job search success. Instead, prioritize what you find. First, apply for the positions you know you are a great fit for. Not for the silly quick apply feature, but with a tailored, a crafted resume that tells the appropriate story on how you are the right person for their position. If you are skimming the job boards and you find that dream job, verify it is a true job. Don't use the links that are within the posting. Instead, do your due diligence and research that position. It is best to use caution on the internet. If there are no caution flags thrown regarding that position, respond immediately with a tailored, crafted resume and cover letter through the company's correct employment portal. Unfortunately, closing dates are not written in stone. Some dates are assigned, but many private sector jobs will close an opportunity after a certain amount of applicants or they find an ideal hire. To make myself stand out from the crowd or stand out from other applicants, I like to call. I pick up that phone and I talk to the hiring authority directly regarding that question, and I asked for a complete job description. This is something that you should do on all of the opportunities out there, not just the job posting. Expected closing dates is another thing I asked for, and who I can tailor a cover letter to. Those are some ideal questions. So, ask for that job description, the closing date, and who to write a tailored cover letter to, because the posting itself is going to be very small, and the job description is going to have a more ideal outline of what you will be doing. If there is no luxury of connecting with the employer before applying, follow up with a phone call. Post-submittal, typically, I would say 2 to 3 weeks. Currently, MinnesotaWorks.net is the state's labor exchange. More or less, it's an online job board, like I mentioned earlier. What separates this website from the more familiar online job boards, ZipRecruiter, CareerBuilder, Indeed, and LinkedIn that you've mentioned in the chat, is that Minnesota Works is 100% free to the end users. That's both the employers and job seekers alike. You have the option as a job seeker to actually pay if you want to do that, or if you want to be in the network. That's awesome. You see most of those online job boards, anyone with that little credit card can post a job. Only at Minnesota Works, employers who are looking to hire within Minnesota will be considered. In fact, all employers are heavily vetted prior to accessing Minnesota Works, which has been known to minimize the riffraff scammers. I don't think I've ever seen a scammer on Minnesota Works or heard of one. As a job seeker, this is exciting, as our virtual caution flag can be tucked back into our pocket as we cruise Minnesota Works looking for our next opportunity. Currently, there are well over 100,000 jobs listed today and less than 15,000 resumes. And the cool thing is, did you know that any job seeker can have up to 5 active resumes on this site? Even better, these resumes do not need to be in a chronological format, which is organized by your most recent job being listed first. Instead, you can build a resume that focuses on past skills and highlights those jobs that are relevant to your career listing. The employment dates in a month tally versus listing the start and end date. If you have any questions, reach out to our career force. We'll be happy to help and even look at your Minnesota Works resume and give you some tips. The last survey conducted by the Department of Employment and Economic Development stated that 66% of employers who posted a job on Minnesota Works filled the position with an applicant from Minnesota Works. That's awesome. 85% of those who searched for jobs found jobs to apply for. So that's darn near 9 out of 10 individuals found jobs to apply for through Minnesota Works. And about 50%, 47% of those who applied for jobs were contacted for an interview. Minnesota Works works for you. As you advance in your job search, we understand that applications can be a barrier between you and the job you're aiming to get. A strategy I have found helpful on an open vacancy is put more efforts towards applying than the average applicant, because this will separate you from the others. If you provide a cover letter and I do not, you put more effort into the job listing than I did, you're more likely to put more effort into the job than I will. If a position is open, call to verify that the position is still open. Nothing is more frustrating than creating a resume, putting all the blood, sweat, and tears to that dream job that closed this past week. And I'm sure we've all done it before. You get a resume created, you go to apply, and it says the position is closed. Ask to speak to the hiring manager who will be reviewing your resumes. Get their position title and correct spelling of the name. There are many different ways to spell Aaron, or Sam. Not so many as Sam, I suppose. It could be Sammy, Samantha, Samuel. But regardless, this will help you decide to draft a cover letter and what you can put on there. And if possible, as mentioned before, ask for the job description breakdown to be emailed to your email. And the reason we ask for that is because now you're opening up another line of communications between. As long as you have a professional email, that's another story. Even though many of us have found success in the past by looking for jobs online, moving forward, as I mentioned, 75 to 80% of the jobs you will find in the future will be through people you know. We encourage you to balance your online time with other job searching activities such as attending conferences, networking events, volunteering, and participating in group outings. Art, before we move on, I want to open up that second poll. Like before, a poll will open and you'll have approximately about 30 seconds to finish it. So I'm going to go ahead and read it first. And the first poll is going to be, second poll is, how many people does the average person know? So in that poll, the answers are going to be 10, 50, 150, 300, and 600. And Art, let me know if that's up in front of you.
I'm currently not seeing the poll.
Okay, let's try it one more time.
It's not there.
All right, here we go. Open poll. There we go. So 10, 50, 150, 300, or 600. All right, this poll always gets a varied response. And I've yet to see an agreed upon response for every one answer. So as you submit your final thoughts for this question, ask yourself, how many acquaintances do you have, and are you average?
Yeah, it looks like we're getting a wide variety of answers here.
Yeah, yep. I see that a lot of people agreed with about 150, and that's a good guess. And before we tell you what the answers are going to be, I want to explain who is in your network. Your network is bigger than you think. Try reaching out to past friends, family, coworkers, neighbors, and others who are genuinely interested in your well-being. Those are the ones who will be interested in your success. But with the labor shortages that we are seeing today, employers are offering bonuses to their employees for referrals. And I'm sure you've seen it in job postings, or if you are currently working or in the past, they are getting $1,000 for a hiring bonus, or not a hiring bonus, but for a referral, the job seeker, as long as they last for 6 weeks or 6 months, whatever it may be. Start spreading the word that you are open to new opportunities with your traditional network and on your social network. Let others know that you are currently transitioning, and that's a good phrase to use on LinkedIn, currently transitioning into this career or from one job to another. And you are exploring new opportunities is another way to throw out there on LinkedIn. It is humbling to see how others will go out of their way to help you jumpstart your career by leveraging their personal individual network. So what is the answer to our last poll? It would have to be in the hundreds. Potentially we know about 300 to 600 acquaintances. This doesn't mean each one of them will be invested in our future. It just means that we have encountered them through our work life, our personal life, our religious life, whatever it may be. We know more than we actually want to admit. The graphic you see is what 6 degrees of separation is currently. Today, with the use of social networking, I would theorize it would take less than 5 connections to reach any one person on this earth, as this was coined in 1967. I just looked at my social media accounts and I say that I have over 500 Facebook connections or friends and over 400 LinkedIn connections. Less than 10% of those are shared across both platforms. Whether you're job searching online or looking through those help wanted signs or help wanted pages, there is one strategy that separates itself from the rest, and it's called informational interviewing. So in the chat, go ahead and write if you know what informational interviewing is. If you've ever heard of it or could explain it, go ahead and put yes or no in there. We'll share what it is in the next few slides, but first let's talk about the steps to get there. And as I assumed, there's going to be a varied response to this question as well. The first step in becoming organized, find an employer you want to speak to and prepare some honest questions regarding their company or available positions. Write those questions down and maybe create a script. And I like that, creating that script, something that is tangible with talking points. I'd rather be over-prepared than under-prepared and overwhelmed. Step 2, before the call, practice out loud. It helps to hear the sound, your projection. If you fluctuate, it will help you avoid too many filler words such as I like, so on and so forth. Step 3, when the phone call is about to happen, find an environment free of distractions. I personally like the car. the den, the office, the bedroom. Please stay away from empty rooms like an unfinished basement. It will sound as if you are in the bathroom, causing an unpleasant echo. And step four, dress for success. And everyone's like, why would you need a dress for it? Not like a suit or tie or extravagant gown, but a comfortable jeans, a sweater, button down polo shirt. As you can see, I have a zipper cardigan. And finally, step five, as you speak with the employer, smile. You'll sound happier and your voice fluctuates naturally. Those who are unable to see you speak can hear you smile, and the brain paints that picture. So the 5 steps are going to be: organize your job search, practice, free yourself from those unwanted distractions, dress for success, and smile. If you have followed those steps and put the extra effort into researching the employer, making a connection with them comes off less daunting. Networking should never start off with, what can you do for me? What jobs are available? How much do you pay? Or where do I apply? Those questions demonstrates your inability to do your research, and your sole interest is self-improvement. If you want to impress that employer, have a lighthearted and brief conversation. Let them know that their time matters and that you respect their time, and would love to further have a discussion to learn more about the company beyond that website or news article state, and then ask them for that informational interview. Stay positive. You may hear no more than yes, but if they are willing to have that scheduled conversation during their coffee break, a 15-minute coffee break, dress neatly and get prepared, because the informational interview, and this is what the informational interview, it's a powerful research technique. It's an effective tool to meet the employer, stand out from the crowd, and go beyond the name of a future resume. It is important to note this is not a job interview, and the objective is not to find job openings. Simply put, it's networking. You're getting all that nervousness away from, I need this job, or I need to do this. Simply put, it's just networking. It's a conversation. You may feel awkward reaching out to people you know, or don't know, as we have been taught our whole lives. However, with the hiring markets and positions available, excuse me, and most people enjoy taking a little bit of time out of their day to reflect on their personal life and give advice to someone interested in the field. When awarded an informational interview, you need to be prepared to direct the conversation, but also let the conversation flow naturally, because it's just a conversation, and encourage the interviewee to do most of the talking, because this is networking. As the conversation closes, follow up with a physical thank you letter or email expressing your excitement to learn about their personal journey, and if possible, connect with them on LinkedIn. All right. What do we got for questions coming in?
So just real quick, Sam, I don't know if you know your camera's off. If you want to turn your camera on.
Oh my goodness.
And while you're doing that, I did have a couple questions. One I was able to respond to right within the chat, and that was, is there additional information on managing your LinkedIn account? I just threw that in the chat. That'll be included in the follow-up email. Sam will be talking about this more, but just wanted to give the immediate answer to that. Had a really great question from someone when we were talking about Minnesota Works and LinkedIn and researching. When a job is posted on LinkedIn, should we just assume it's a relevant, safe job that doesn't require any vetting? Can we totally trust it? What's your thoughts on that, Sam?
Can you totally trust what's posted on the internet? Sure, if you want to totally trust it, go ahead. But I'm going to tell you my personal opinion, and I'm sure Art shares this. Vet it, because LinkedIn, as long as you call yourself a business, you can post jobs, you can pay for jobs, but scammers can do the same thing. So I personally would say, look on LinkedIn. If it's posted there, great, but navigate, go to Google, search the job title, search the occupation, and verify it's true, because there are a lot of lookalike companies out there. There could be a Microsoft person that created an account and you're like, oh, apply online, easy, click of the button, and there you go. You applied, you gave your information, and then when it asks for your social security, run. Just run for the high hills. Art, do you have any input that you'd like to add?
Yeah, so any job, and this includes Minnesota Works. Just because we say that employers are vetted, That doesn't mean that it's even a safety issue that you research the company. We research the company for multiple reasons. One is to make sure it's who they say they are, of course. And I have to say, on both Minnesota Works and LinkedIn, I have a certain trust level. That's why we talk about these. But never give your information to someone you haven't researched. And there's two reasons for that. One, the trust, but two, you can't put together a good presentation, a good marketing piece, unless you've researched the company. So there's two reasons you do that. You should always look up a company if you're not familiar with them before you apply with them. It just shows that you're interested and shows that you cared enough or are invested enough to take a little bit of your time. And that goes back to what Sam said of don't apply for 50 jobs a day. Be very selective and be very purposeful in where you apply. And that's all about research. So I do trust Minnesota Works. I use it every day, have for a decade. But I still research companies I would apply to. And the same goes for Indeed. So thanks, Sam.
Absolutely. And like Art said, do your research, do your due diligence. It'll help you craft that resume, create that sales pitch. And for LinkedIn and Minnesota Works, I love it. Minnesota Works has been my favorite go-to job. It's how I found this position a decade ago as Art. We both started about the same time. So it's a really great opportunity to take a look. Social media can change how your perspective is, and that's what we're going to talk about next. Is from TikTok resumes. You probably have seen it from Instagram portfolios. Job seekers are devoted to finding innovative approaches to get noticed by employers. I've even seen people graduated from Harvard standing with a billboard on the outside looking for networking opportunities on the like next to the interstate down in San Jose, California, or wherever it may have been. But for the most part, there are only 3 pillars of social media that are really deserve our attention today, and that's going to be LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And the primary goal of social media is to help you connect with people, build your communities of trust and groups, share ideas, interests, and information regarding your chosen profession or where you want to go. What started as a simple service has now evolved into a mandatory part of creative job search. The benefits of using social networks to grow your professional brand in terms of relationship building, portfolio creation, resume building, and all are endless. LinkedIn is the one professional network site you can apply for jobs that I think is the most important. Social media, LinkedIn tops all of them. That's why we're going to talk about it today. And LinkedIn uses recruiters to use LinkedIn to find potential job candidates. So it's an effective way for employers to find you, or recruiters, as well as for you to find employers to do a little more research on. Facebook, Twitter are social networking sites. Keep separate from your professional network on LinkedIn. I personally believe. Be careful about what you post online. You probably heard that 100 times before, but I'm going to say it again. Be careful about what you post online. Some websites, once you post it, it stays out there. Consider Googling yourself even to see what information comes up. If you do find something concerning on Google, like your name is one of the top 10 most wanted on the top 10 FBI most wanted list, consider adding your middle initial if that's going to separate you from that individual. Many, if not all, employers will look you up if considered for the position. I know Art said it in the past. He will research you. If you are down to the last 2 individuals, he's going to do his due diligence, just like you did when you're looking for a company. He's going to do a little research on you. Check out the link in the chat box to see what your Minnesota rap sheet might look like to an employer. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that in there. You just need some information. Oops, I threw that privately to everyone. Let's go ahead and throw it there. LinkedIn, for me, is no longer just a place to find people. It's a place of personal and professional growth. It's a place where business growth, a place of economic growth, a place that makes a difference in professional lives. It's a community where you can be inspired, build relationships, and discover unexpected opportunities. Some comments I've had or reservations I've had from job seekers that don't want to create a LinkedIn account or are unfamiliar with what LinkedIn is. The main one is, I'm not a professional. This is a professional website. It's not for me. So LinkedIn is not right for me. And that's where I want to pause. I found out that she is a professional. She was a professional cleaner, and she found a Monday through Friday union job that was blocks away through LinkedIn. I had another job seeker a few years back say, LinkedIn is so depressing. All it talks about is politics. I think they got a little confused. They got confused with LinkedIn and Facebook or Twitter, whatever the other one was. LinkedIn is not like those websites. But there are some filters. If you feel like the boat's being rocked and people are putting out their political views, religious views, whatever it may be, you can actually filter that out. You can go into your settings and filter those feeds out. My favorite that I've heard countless times, I'm too old. LinkedIn is for the young ones, or vice versa. You know, that's so last year, last minute. Plain and simple, LinkedIn is a professional platform. It's here to stay. Whether you're considered a boomer, a Gen Z, it appeals to all and doesn't discriminate, even if you're millennial or in between. So thank you, but not thank you. I do my best to be found. When I hear those, I'm not going to push it. I'm not going to ever push LinkedIn on you. I'm just going to say it's a great tool to have in your tool pouch. Regardless, if you're an avid or new to LinkedIn platform, the first thing you need to do is update all your information on LinkedIn. In fact, if you need to become an all-star on LinkedIn, how many of us have heard what an all-star is for LinkedIn? So go in the chat feature, put a yes and no, what an all-star is, not an MLB, but what is an all-star? We got a few yeses coming in. We got a no. That's why you're here today. We're going to learn something. So we're going to take a second to talk about all the steps that make you into an all-star status. An all-star status is posting, the first step is to post a picture. Here's a good question for the chat on top of the one I just asked. Of the images on your screen, which images are appropriate for LinkedIn? So is it A, is it B, is it C, D, E, F, is it A, N, D, is it E, N, E, or E and F, is it just a low and C? Go ahead and put in the chat box what you think it is. And I'll talk a little bit about these pictures. Here is some recent data on LinkedIn. Only 51% of LinkedIn users have a fully completed profile. 51, 1 out of 2. That's pretty bad. We understand starting something new can be intimidating, but if it's used right, LinkedIn is worth the time investment. If you need motivation to finish, call your career force. Ask for someone to review your profile and or set up a deadline to write it all down on a post-it note. Hang it up on your computer or wherever you access LinkedIn from. Include a professional picture. Having a high quality picture is important to getting noticed on LinkedIn. Having an image on LinkedIn is 21 times more, you get 21 more times profile views than using without one. Looking in the chat, we can see that everyone does have an opinion. So we're going to walk through it. What is in his cup? Is he a scientist or at a frat? BNC, excellent quality and compelling light. I agree on those. Busy background. So if you look at this, you can see a lot of people here. He's standing in a crowd. It's a good picture, but it's distracting in the background. E, it's really poor lighting, desaturation. And F, although it's a professional photo, if we could just take it down a hair so we can see a little more forehead, that would be ideal. So for me, I think B and C would be the ones that I would go with. So great job for those who guessed B, C. And you can see that everyone does have an opinion, and I love it. Even though my public link, this is me, look at that, before my beard, that's when I was in the military, and it looks like my head was squished or I was like 30 pounds lighter, I don't know. Even though my public LinkedIn profile picture is a hair outdated, it clearly shows my face. It's well lit. It was taken before an interview that I went to, ideally with daylight. I clearly need to ask for a headshot, as this image is not a clear representation of myself and the pose. It's rather stiff and non-energetic. Here's something I recently found out. Some state-sponsored career fairs advertise free LinkedIn headshots. You can go to some of these career fairs that are sponsored through the career force, and they might even provide you a free LinkedIn headshot. That's awesome. They'll give you the image, they'll give you a raw so you can add it to your feature. That's pretty cool. Number 2 of the all-star status is to include a clear and relevant headline. Whoops. And articulating your value proposition. There is no magic formula when it comes to writing the perfect headline. There are many different examples. Google them. You're going to find a lot of great examples. And Frankenstein it. Put it all together. Make it your own. Your headline should align with what it is you're trying to achieve on LinkedIn. Ask yourself, who do you want to find you? What are they searching for? Answer these questions when writing your headline. So, who do you want them to find? What are you searching for? So ask those questions and throw it out there. The third step is provide your industry and location. And I have to say, this is probably the easiest one for you to get closer to the all-star status, minus the picture. When editing your profile, make sure to enter your country, your postal zip code, and your industry. These areas tell the recruiters where you reside and what industry you're in. A lot of recruiters will search for job candidates on LinkedIn using in the industry and location settings. So if you have this blank, you'll be left out of that search. So go ahead and add it. That's one step closer to the LinkedIn All-Star status. Fill in the experience section. For the experience section, you will need to include your most current position plus 2 prior positions. That's all you really need to go back. You don't need to go all the way from your first job, waiting tables or anything like that. According to Forbes, LinkedIn members with current positions are discovered 16 times more in recruiter searches, and their profile views increased by 29 times. The experience points here, just like on your resume, should be achievement-based and targeted towards your desired job or field. I wouldn't say go into a lot of nuts and bolts on this one. Just kind of a brief overview of what you've done with a lot of transferable skills so employers can find you on certain skill sets. Use your resume as an inspiration, but make sure to revise and copy and paste errors, as formatting might not look as nice on your profile. LinkedIn 5. Include 5 skills. That's why I put it on the 5. 5 skills. To achieve all-star status, you'll need to include at least 5 skills in your skills section. LinkedIn reports that users with 5 skills or more are contacted by 33 times more by recruiters. Include skills that you're good at and skills related to the keywords employers are using to find candidates. An easy way to find which keywords go to your ideal role is to look through 5 to 10 postings on LinkedIn or Indeed or Minnesota Works. After a while, you'll start noticing certain words popping up over and over again, repetitive, that you can use in your skill sections as long as it's true and accurate for you. Out of all the sections in this post, this might be the hardest section to nail down, and that's your work on your summary. It may take some time, some energy to craft a compelling summary, but this is your opportunity to market yourself to employers. Include these 3 key points to create a strong summary. An opening statement that clearly shows why you're on LinkedIn. A summary of your work experience and the most impressive and relevant skills. Make sure to include relevant keywords here to increase your chance of appearing on recruiter searches. A few bullet points focus on your achievements rather than your duties. You can quantify your achievements with numbers and even start your bullets with an action verb to demonstrate your value. Closing statement about what types of opportunities get you excited and what kind of roles someone should get in touch with you for. Be sure to include your contact information. And the biggest benefit of adding your education, and this is one of the last ones, is that it gives you an opportunity to connect with other individuals or fellow alumni that have the built-in connection. So if you graduated from South Dakota State University or U of M and other individuals graduated from the same university, you kind of have that in network. And that's why it's called LinkedIn. This section is also especially important if you're a recent graduate or a student. To reach all-star status, this is the hardest one. Well, not the hardest one. It's an easy one once you get everything listed, is getting 50 connections, 50. You can connect with others by sending them an invitation or by accepting their invitations. You can also jumpstart your connections by allowing LinkedIn to match you up with people from your email address book. Another way to start is simply by using the search feature to find companies you used to work at and connecting with your ex-coworkers. Establishing connections and interacting is a core part of LinkedIn, and the platform will reward you in search results if you have more connections. Every minute, this is from the CEO, every minute on LinkedIn, almost 200 people join. Every minute, 60 seconds. 9,000 connections are made. 4,500 applications are submitted. And anywhere from 3 to 5 people get a job, and that is every minute, 60 seconds. Pretty amazing feature right there. LinkedIn on building connections. Networking is key to your job search success. And it's difficult even under the best of circumstances. But networking while unemployed can be especially uncomfortable. If this struggle is real for you, and I'm sure it is real for some of us, networking while unemployed is not as hard as it may seem. In fact, here are a few simple strategies you can do on LinkedIn to make the whole process a little easier and more productive. Grow your network. When LinkedIn became mainstream in 2010, you may have unintentionally accepted an invitation to be part of someone's network. I know I did, and it took me a while to figure out what my email was that they were using. If you have less than 25 connections and have not really used LinkedIn in the last decade, start fresh. Sign up with a new LinkedIn account with a new email and let the site walk you through the basics. Identifying information, headline, work experience, education, and possibly explore your email connections. In 30 minutes, possibly less, you'll have an online presence that backs up the content of your resume. If you have an established network, click on your connections and scroll through all those second and third degree suggested connections. Add a personal note and or a short statement of how you know each other. I just checked my account. I have over 400 first degree connections and 326,000, over 250,000 second degree connections I could be introduced to. Endorsing and recommendations. Of those new connections that are established, view their profile. Everyone likes to see that someone looked at their profile, and endorse them for a skill set that you have witnessed. Or even write a recommendation if you feel they deserve one. You can add a personal note when submitting those recommendations for connections. Says, hey, I really appreciated working with you on this campaign, and I would love for you to endorse me if you have time. Otherwise, don't worry about it. I feel that you deserved this endorsement. You're speaking volumes to them. They feel like maybe I should endorse you. So that's a good way to get some endorsements or even recommendations. Before it's sent, add that personal note and just ask for one return and give them an opt-out. Follow and connect. LinkedIn has over 830 million users, almost a billion users. There's 7 or 8 billion people in America, 1 out of 7, 1 out of 8. I can't remember if it's 7 or 8 billion. 58 million registered companies. That's astounding. A strategy I employ is to follow the companies that I desire to work for. Click on the people, past and present, that have experience with the company. Maybe there is a hidden connection, a second degree connection, or even a first degree connection that works there that you knew ages ago. Click on those who are in HR just so you can see that you dropped by and did a little research. I love doing that. I type the company name and I throw HR in there and I start clicking on people and looking at their account. Maybe there's a shared connection or relevant information that I can grab from their account. And relevant content. Speaking a post, increase your LinkedIn traffic by sharing articles relevant to your profession. Try adding a hashtag or an article before publishing. Another strategy is to encourage or engage with your connection with a name drop in the comments. Hey, Art Larson, what did you think of this story? Now Art is compelled to look at it because he got a notification in his chat. So those are some little ways to really grow your connections and work your way up. With video being the next mega trend, and we'll take a moment to ask any questions. I know we're running short on time because of my audio issues, but Art, what do you got coming?
Just real quick, a couple comments from the chat. Someone had asked about removing dates from education. That's a little bit different on LinkedIn than it would be on your resume. But if you do want to remove your dates, it does require you to choose something. Just choose the word year, month, and year. Use choose the date. Choose the words month and year. Easy for me to say, and it will come up as nothing. You won't see anything. It'll still be there, but you won't have any dates, and it won't come up as you didn't put that in. Another question someone had is cyber coders, are they legit? Every single recruitment agency, you're going to have to do your research. But as an overall guide, LinkedIn is an awesome way to research that. I just typed in cyber coders into LinkedIn, found out that they have over 1 million followers. They have a 4.2% positive reviews. The key is whenever you see an email promoting anything, make sure that it's the actual company. Look at the website very closely. Going on LinkedIn will show you their actual website. There are scammers out there that will use something similar in terms to get you to redirect to a scam site. So just want to make those two comments because there were questions asked in the chat. I know we are running short on time. So Sam, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, yeah, I didn't know anything about cyber coders, so that's pretty cool. And Craig's saying check out Glassdoor.com, which is another useful website or tool to use in your job search. With video being the next mega trend, as I was saying earlier, LinkedIn has added a more human way to connect sharing by introducing stories. Along with other social media giants, this is allowing account holders to replace those essential water cooler moments with a short clip. And for those moments with face-to-face meeting is the best way to get things done. They also have added a video feature that calls over Teams, BlueJeans, or Verizon, or even Zoom directly through your message thread. Talk about a perfect place to have an informational interview. With the influx of younger users joining, the platform is catering to those needs with video elevator speeches. This is a 30-second elevator speech. And the only way to access that, you can't do it through your desktop. You have to do it through your phone that has the video and audio capabilities. So then tap on the profile in your phone and you'll be able to create a 30-second stint of yourself. Using a hashtag, I'm sure we've all heard it before. Use a hashtag or the pound symbol, whatever you go by. After sharing your video, add a hashtag when posting the content you want searchable. When creating content for any social media post that you want traction, we encourage adding a few hashtags with a simple phrase or word. 3 at most is what I encourage, 1 to 3. Hashtags are a useful tool for networking, finding job opportunities, and sharing your own job search to get noticed by employers who are using the social media app to recruit. How do hashtags work? Well, the best way, and what is the best way to use them? If you use platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, you're probably familiar with it. It's just a hashtag, no spaces, career change, open to work, career progression, whatever you want to put on there. Use 3 that are trending. And you can find those just by a quick Google search. The longest time being out of work was shameful. A lot of people didn't want to share that. They were very hermit. They wanted to keep it close to them. And job seekers were apprehensive about sharing something so personal. Today, it's a 180-degree turn around. Job seekers are transparent, and it's great to be transparent and honest in your posts. Your networking wants to know you. They want to support you. They want to hire you. Therefore, your network of connections, employers, and recruiters should know you are open for work. When this feature was launched back in, I think it was right around pandemic, pre-pandemic, April 2020, somewhere around there, early results show members with the open to work photo frame, which as you can see is on that picture, are receiving about 40% more in mail from recruiters and 20% more messages from the LinkedIn community. Whether you choose to use this banner or not, we do encourage using the next feature, as you'll be able to engage with your network even further. And that's the interview. I'm really excited to share this. I know Art is too. This is the last tool as we finish our time together and answer any remaining questions. So if you have any questions, throw them in that chat box so we can get to them. And any unanswered questions we'll try to address afterwards, or you can just call your local career force and we'll get to you and talk to you. So if you have any burning questions, please get them in that chat. And remember, we have a career force full of professionals out there. Navigating to this next session from your LinkedIn homepage is somewhat confusing without demonstration, so I'll give you a link and a quick rundown. First, you sign in to LinkedIn. So if you're not there or haven't been on LinkedIn before, you sign on to LinkedIn, and then you select jobs. You will be in, you'll see it like a brief, I think it's a briefcase. That's what I'm looking for. The briefcase. Couldn't speak today. Click on the briefcase, and you'll click on the interview prep tool. So you'll see an interview prep tool after you click on that briefcase. If you want the direct link, look in the chat and check your emails, because this will be part of that email follow-up. 26 common questions. This feature, this interview prep tool, has 26 common interview questions. So perfect place to just look at it. It unravels the questions employers ask and why they ask them. It breaks it down. The categories. If you feel the common questions are not the normal ones you experience or encounter in your profession, you can also select from categories and narrow your search to add an additional 14 industry occupation specific questions. And with your first degree connections, you can garnish some feedback. Once you've reviewed the questions and submitted your response, whether it's verbal, recorded, or typed, you can either type your responses. The artificial intelligence will monitor your filler words and how fast you talk if you did a video. You also can share it with any of your first level connections and ask for their feedback, as I mentioned before. On the top, you can use LinkedIn to network. You can also use it for researching companies and finding careers. In fact, there are endless topics we could have selected to share regarding LinkedIn. But what we did share can have an immediate impact on your job search. If you're new to LinkedIn or inexperienced in LinkedIn, would like to create an account, you can watch a video or a virtual and from our virtual and interactive site through a process, and gives you some additional best practices on our YouTube channel for CareerForce MN. Art, are there any questions that we should address as we close out our final minutes of this workshop? Or do you have any advice that you'd like to add to the Creative Job Search Internet and Social Media workshop?
So I did have a great question, and it speaks to a really wide topic. So what happens if you're looking for a different type of work than your profile shows? So maybe you had a high-level job, and now you're at a different point in your career. Do you utilize LinkedIn as it sits, showing this high-level career, or do you adjust your LinkedIn profile to kind of show where your career is now? Or do you ditch LinkedIn altogether?
Well, great. You gave 3 good examples of what you could do. First off, if you don't want them to look at your LinkedIn profile, you don't have to put that on your resume. But they can Google your name and they can find where you're at in your career. So generally, when you do include your LinkedIn link on your LinkedIn profile, your resume, you generally want it to be a good match for employers to find. So that's the second step. So if your career progression is totally going to 180, or you were on the top and you're like, I don't want that stress anymore, go ahead and address it in your summary, saying, hey, I've had some great, amazing experiences in the C-suite series, and now I'm looking to return to where my heart or my passion really lies, and that's going to be VP, or if you want to go lower, management director, or if you just want to be the guy who wields the wrench or the hammer, you can go ahead and say that in there. The summary is what's going to get them, but generally you just want to don't put all the content underneath your C-suite if you're a CEO, CFO, whatever it may be. Don't put like all the filler words that you want to put on there. Just put your job, your title, the dates of employment, and move on to the next one. And the one that you want to return to, go ahead and expand that list. Make that summary really pop and saying, this is where my heart is. This is where I want to go or return to. Art, what do you think? Ooh, did I lose audio with you?
No, that was totally me and not hitting the mute button or hitting the mute button. So you should be able to hear me now. I absolutely agree. And one other thing to think about is if you do two different types of work, maybe you do some contract work over here and you do some paid work over here, your LinkedIn profile should address the market in which you're currently engaged in. You know, we do see this quite a bit. Someone will be looking for a warehouse job, but their LinkedIn is administrative work. Just don't include it. And if you're really going in that direction, adjust your LinkedIn profile wholesale. I mean, there are a lot of options you have within LinkedIn, but ultimately you choose if it's a good networking tool. Just the ability to look people up is worth having an account. How actively you use and market that account is totally up to you, but it has a lot of uses. And I think Sam did a really great job of showing you just that interview feature. That alone, trust me, is an awesome tool to help you prepare for your job search. So if you're looking for entry points, use LinkedIn for whatever works for you. I'll let you wrap it up, Sam, and thank you everyone for attending today, and good luck in your job search.
Absolutely. And as a reminder, reach out to us. We're happy to help guide you or let you, we can review your, or I can just reach out to me. You got my email address right there. If you need someone just to take a quick look-see, I would love to do it. Thanks for joining us today. And remember, tomorrow from 1 to 2:30, we'll be hosting an interview workshop where you can kind of do that mock interview to get an idea. And then you can kind of compare it on LinkedIn. You can also Google on interview prep on Google, and they actually have a cool feature too. I would say the LinkedIn is a great one. And getting the backstory and asking questions with individuals who do interviewing would be a great tool for you to do versus just relying on that artificial intelligence that's out there. So go ahead and attend our workshop. We would love to have you there. And all the relevant resources, links, and the copy of our slides will be sent out to you in an email associated with your Minnesota Works account within the next 24 hours. Again, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for bearing with us with my technical issues, and stay warm this winter as an Arctic freeze is bound to happen. We live in Minnesota. Have a great day and have a great holiday season.